foot straight, because that way it's got further to pivot.
Yes.
And the pivot is really important in getting your power.
Yes, definitely. Blocking, stepping kick, same side. Making that wall, stepping in straight. Crystal stepping in straight here. That looks great. What he's also doing here with the right block on the outside is pushing the hands out, pushing the hand out. You're covering the right side that the kick's coming, and you're pushing. You can push your opponent off balance while he's kicking you. If you don't get it, you're still protected. You're covering, you're blocking. If you get it, great. You push him off balance. You follow up with the kick. You're gonna have to bridge the distance a little bit more, and you just step in bigger. That's one reason again why you always step in. Hands up, step in, crank.
So is this how you would actually be training in the gym with these moves, Mark?
Yeah, work out on the moves, maybe do some shadow boxing or just practice specific moves in front of the mirror. Watch your form, grab a partner and play. Right here we're kicking each other very lightly. We're just getting a feel for what we're supposed to be doing. If you watch the push from the block. It's important to answer back when you're blocking. Block, answer back right away. Even if you don't block, you get hit, you might as well answer back. There's no sense standing there just getting hit, right? Answer. I'm throwing a couple pushes in there instead of blocking. Front elbow, right elbow. Okay, this is a different elbow we haven't seen yet. Step in and coming up, standing up on the toes just like an uppercut. Watch the balls of the feet in the front, up on the toes, get your body behind it, hips going up, and then the right elbow. This is good if somebody's charging in at you in the clinch or somebody's trying to tie up is another time you can use this. Also, if you land the first one and the head comes up, the second one can be more devastating because the head is out of position. If not, it doesn't matter.
It's good for distraction as well because you've pushed his head so he's looking up at the ceiling, and then he can do basically whatever you want.
You were mentioning with the stance there, it appears that throughout the entire range of movements, you always keep your feet basically flat on the ground.
Yes.
Until you're actually moving forward on the balls.
Yeah, the weight's on the balls of the feet, but you don't have to be standing up on your toes. But yeah, the stance is always the same. You're not stepping, you're not switching, you're not changing your stance. The more you cross your feet over, obviously you have less balance and more chance of getting into trouble. Right hand, notice how high the cover is. Elbows, you have to be extremely careful with when you're playing with a partner. They're very hard weapons, very sharp.
Do you sometimes wear headgear when you're training?
Sometimes. It's good to wear. It's good for wrestling when you're practicing knees, the inside grapple, and working with the knees. Because if you can get your head out when they're trying to hold on to it when you're wearing headgear, which makes it easier for them, then it is a lot easier to get out when you're not wearing headgear. Sparring, a lot of hands, it's good to wear. I personally don't like it, but it is good to wear.
One thing that headgear does do is restricts your vision, your peripheral vision.
Yes.
And they have made it mandatory in Thailand for novices to wear headgear. So it's a good idea to a certain extent. It does prevent cuts and injuries, but it also it does make you more open to outside roundhouse kicks and hooks.
You're making this inside leg kick. The roundhouse is going to the left leg, the lead leg. Move the leg out of the way and simply step in and attack.
And this is very important because a lot of people don't realize they'll either take a kick to the leg and think, oh, that didn't hurt too bad. Unfortunately, those kicks build up, and after 4 or 5 of them, you can barely walk. Now, what he's done is instead of blocking it, all he's done is moved his leg. So if you are swinging to try to kick his leg and he moves it and you miss, you're wide open, you're off balance, and you're wide open for anything he wants to throw back at you.
Yeah, Muay Thai, you try and to stay there to fight. You move the part of your body that's being attacked instead of jumping back your whole body, which means it's a lot easier and a lot closer to counter. You're right there. Oh, he's right there to attack me, as opposed to running away from the kick.
Some fighters I've watched, it seems like they keep their lead leg way out there. It's almost like a target that's pretty easy to nail time and time again.
If it's there and the other fighter likes leg kicks, he's going to use it. The balance and stance in Muay Thai is there for a reason. Some people like to be spread out more for hands, but again, you can't defend your legs as easily, you can't kick as easily. Muay Thai has its stance for its reasons. Slipping the leg out of the way. It doesn't need to go back further than the rear leg, because if it is, chances are he's going to be kicking your rear leg anyway. So you don't need to step back and switch stance at all. Just pull it back a tiny bit. Make miss, step front side, kick rear side. This is the same thing, except you're kicking the other side now. These are different ways of practicing. Realistically, after you make miss, you can punch, knee, elbow, kick. You can do absolutely whatever you want. These are some good ideas and a good way to practice with a partner. Moving your leg back again. It doesn't need to go back too far. Stepping in and following up with a right side kick.
As someone who's been in the ring a lot, with somebody who's good at kicking, it must be difficult to actually make the miss, is it not? Or
Yes and no. If they're good at what they do, see, the step in is really important in kicking. However, that allows you to see the kick coming to a certain degree. Obviously, you try and set up the kick, speed makes a difference. But the step in does telegraph the kick to a degree. However, you have to step in or else your kick will not have power. So you can play, you can try and make miss and block and get out of the way and try different moves.
So, Mark, I noticed that you seem to be looking at your opponent's eyes. Is that what you do, maintain eye contact?
You mainly want to watch the body. You can look at the eyes. If you stay on the eyes, if you stay on the head, you can't see what the feet are doing and the rest of the body as easily. If you're watching the chest and the stomach, letting your eyes roam, your peripheral vision picks up a lot of things, and you see the body movement, which has to happen before any attack comes.
And that's where one part of training in any martial art increases your peripheral vision, which will help you in your everyday life.
Yes.
Good for when you're playing in the traffic.
One thing I've been doing on when we do pads, actually 2 kicks at least. Really, you can kick, if you land the first kick, don't ask me exactly how it works, but you can just keep kicking. You can land 3, 4 in a row.
And so many times I've seen that watching an actual match where the guy's on the ropes, you've kicked him once or twice and he's not responding, so just keep kicking until you get a response.
That's right. This is the same as before, except the kick isn't coming to the leg, it's coming to the head or upper body. Again, instead of running away, you're moving back the part of your body that the kick's coming to, and again, stepping in and answering. The important part here is to step back with your lead leg, not your whole body, just your lead leg to balance you leaning back. Here we get a side view. See what I'm talking about? Right leg goes back, lean so the kick misses, and step in. Your front leg can move. That's not a big deal, but you're not trying to make it move. You're just getting your balance by putting your back leg back. We'll see it here. Moving out of the way. Of course, we're playing here. We're working together. And, we're not trying to hurt each other. This is a good way to practice, get used to moves without being scared, without getting hurt. You can just try it out.
It's also good movement for your reflexes, too.
Yes.
You know you're not going to get that hurt if you do get hit, so you can work on your speed.
And see how close and ready one fighter is to respond when they just move that part of the body that's being attacked as opposed to running away. And how off position the other person may be.
So by repeating these moves over and over, it becomes reflex then. When somebody comes in with a right hook or whatever, you know that you're going to be countering with the left.
Yes. There are many different things you can do to a lot of moves, but you kind of pick out a few basics, and you learn to see it coming. You learn to realize what it is, and your body reacts whichever way you've worked on most, or whatever way it just happens to do that day. This is the same thing, making miss a high kick and then stepping and kicking the other side. A lot of the professionals and the top fighters, a lot of fighters in Thailand, when they lean back, they let their hands drop. This makes it easier to lean back, and there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. I think as a beginner, it's good to practice with your hands up, just in case you don't quite lean back far enough. Actually, my last fight, I leaned back and I kind of got nicked. It didn't hurt, but I didn't quite go back far enough.
But it was a close call.
Yes. Yes. It never hurts to have your hands up. Ken here's letting his drop a little bit. Mine are up pretty tight. I think the better you get, the sloppier you get, and I'm trying to keep I think the basics work. Keep it simple. Keep your hands up, and you got the best chance.
One of the basic things I notice is if you ever see anybody who isn't trained and they throw a punch, generally their elbows are out to the side. I've noticed that you have strict form throughout the entire program, and all the fighters here keep their elbows right to the side.
Yeah, that's especially important with Thai boxing because of the kicks to the body, the knees. It's kicks especially. You don't want to get hit in the ribs. If your elbows are out, your ribs are open.
In boxing as well, they keep the elbows in.
Yes, a lot of them do. Notice the shoulder up on the left side. Your hands are up.
Shoulder protects your chin.
Make miss front kick and rear sweep kick.
This is something we haven't seen yet, the sweep kick.
This is simply a low roundhouse. There are many different ways of throwing the roundhouse. You can play with the angles, you can come down, you can come across. The main thing is you're hitting with your shin. This type of make miss will work with any style of front kick, push kick, a Muay Thai push kick, which is called T. You're pushing the kick out of the way and parrying it out of the way like you're doing with the punch actually, and stepping and attacking. Some styles, they'll actually do it with the other hand, but then that opens up that whole side of the body which the kick is coming from. So if they misread a push as opposed to a roundhouse, they've just dropped their hands and left themselves vulnerable. Muay Thai, you keep the one side covered that the kick's coming from, and you make a miss with the other side.
I guess there are a finite number of moves that you can do in any fistic sport, such as Muay Thai. And so I guess once you have the full range of movements that have been shown in the video, you'll be ready for basically any move that comes at you.
Yep, and even if you don't quite, if you make a mistake, your hands are up, you're tucked in, you're in a defensive position, and you're not less likely to get seriously hurt or knocked out. You can hook the leg and hold it here. The main thing is just getting it out of the way. Obviously, we're going light here. When you follow through hard, you're going to be dropping your opponent a lot of the time. Again, it's important to step in. I've missed a couple of these from not stepping in. Stepping in, you'll almost always get your man.
And all of these moves, these basic moves, it's what you make of them. Once you've learned the basics, it's how often you practice them and how much time that you spend on working on your timing.
Yes, keep it simple.